Om Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Param Ishvara Guratmeti Murti Veda Vibhagine Vyomabda Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Sava Vedanta Sedanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanantam Satiguru Pranatoshmaham Mo. Okay. Vivekachudamani, welcome everyone. We stopped last week on the verse 67. Limitless consciousness is existence and knowledge. It is self-evident, ever-present, pure, beyond Maya, and it is the joy unconditioned by time-bound experiences. So we actually last class we stayed on this verse for the entire class, and then there was some passage that I wish we could have unfolded a little deeper when we experience things that exist and about which we have knowledge. So how can existence and knowledge describe the self? This is an inquirer. This is an objector. All the objects to experience exist in time, so their existence is not limitless. So are we then confronted with two kinds of existence, a limited and unlimited existence? So we went through some of this unfoldment, which looks like pretty much the style of Dayananda, in which he was bringing this apparent paradox. Everything we experience somehow is limited, as we know. It's limited by its configuration, but yet it exists. So are we dealing here with two kinds of existence? And the whole analysis here was to prove that there is only one existence, there is only one consciousness, one existence. And also it served the purpose to equate knowledge and existence. Knowledge as consciousness, which is synonymous of existence. It goes about explaining that there is no such a thing as non-existence. So we know that there is existence, but we believe that existence is also, in most of the case, for most people, existence, it's projected on everything that we experience because we believe so. There is something existing here and I am experiencing it. Now, and the analysis here is to prove that there is no such a thing as two existence, the existence of the knower and the existence of the known. There is only one existence. And when we experience something that has a sort of borrowed existence, in which is limited. The existence of anything that we experience is limited by all means, but it's mainly and mostly clearly limited by time, because we know that everything that is known and experienced, it has a beginning, a middle, and an end. So therefore, something that exists in the middle, but before it begins, it does not exist. And after some time, even if it is the universe, by now the scientists know that the universe will come to an end. So even if it's the entire universe, one day comes to an end, So it's no longer experienceable. So anything which was not experienced before it begins and not experienced, it's not experienceable after it ends, meaning to say it does not exist before, it does not exist after, and then how can it exist in the middle? So it does appear like existing, but it does not really exist because it's not real, because reality is that which is always ever present, never change, and not limited by time, not bound by time. And the only thing that somehow fulfills that description is the consciousness, the existence of this conscious awareness, of the nature of limitlessness, the only principle that is limitless, in which or to which or over which all this superimposition of objects of experience, they just occur, they happen, they come and they disappear, they come and disappear. And the point here is that there is only one existence, and the only reality is the existence of the knower, this conscious knowledge, existence of the knower. It's the background in which all these names and forms are projected, are superimposed. Everything is superimposed on us, consciousness, and nothing exists apart from consciousness. So there are no two existences. There is only one existence, and the only true, real, free and independent meaning to say everything else, the existence, depends on what? Depends on this background or this principle called consciousness, existence, awareness, the light or the power or the knowledge in which everything that which has a beginning and end and a middle appear and disappear. Everything is illumined and known and revealed by consciousness. Everything happens not apart, not separate, and there are several of our teachings that demonstrate it to us. All object, the location of objects, teachings, and proves that everything that we experience in consciousness. We experience in the mind, and there is no separation, and the mind does not exist apart from consciousness. Maya does not exist apart from consciousness. The sense organs do not exist apart from consciousness. Everything happens in consciousness, and anything that is projected or superimposed in consciousness fundamentally is consciousness and consciousness alone. So there is only one existence. There is no such a thing as something that exists now and did not exist before, because the very notion of non-existence is absurd. You understand? So you can never establish a non-existence of something, because in order to say this does not exist, we need to acknowledge the phenomenon of non-existence as an object that exists. You understand? So there is no such a thing, and nothing comes from nothing. And there is only this continuous existence, consciousness, and there is only this cyclical appearance and disappearance of the universe, As we know, the universe does not begin really and ends. It just appears as a manifestation, and then it goes back to its potential seed configuration, It's from energy to matter, and then from matter to energy. So in the creation, nothing gets created, nothing gets destroyed. Everything is continuously and cyclically, changed from subtlety to manifestation or grossification, and then subtlety, energy, matter, everything gets transformed again and again. The elements that constitute these names and forms, again and again, they just destroy, they get disassembled, the elements go back to its basic principles, and then again, new configurations come. So nothing really gets created. Therefore, This universe is beginningless, but it appears and disappears. It appears and disappears. And where does it appears and disappear? Within us, in consciousness, right? So that is mostly what this Greek thinker was engaging. This idea that there is no such a thing as non-existence. There is no such a thing as no being. You understand? Therefore, there is no time when that which was not, no time when that which is can cease to be. And then in the Gita, we remember there is a passage in the Gita that says exactly that. The Bhagavad Gita, it says that that which is real can never cease to exist, and that which is not real can never really come to be. This is very amazing, because we take reality to be duality, and we take the objects to be real. We take it to be real, and it's real, and not only that, we believe that the objects, they exist independently and apart from my conscious awareness. Oh no, my conscious awareness is here, and the objects are out there, and they appear to exist, And then here and there, our text says that they enjoy a sort of borrowed existence, Consciousness, we lend existence to these names and forms. We have the plate of clay, we have the pot of clay, every kind of product of clay, fundamentally, it's clay. So clay is borrowing existence, or lending existence to all these objects of clay. So what is a cup of clay? It's only clay. So does the cup of clay exist? Yes and no. It appears to exist as what? As a superimposition on the only reality, which is clay. So there is only clay. There is only consciousness. But this superimposition of names, colors, and forms gives the jiva the idea that the jiva, which is just one of these objects, the human jiva, gives the impression to the human jiva that he is a separate, independent unity, object, and he is experiencing everything outside, apart from himself, and everything exists as really, they're as real as I am as a body-mind. So Vedanta, which is extremely radical and counterintuitive, comes and says, no, you are not really experiencing anything. In truth, you experience your jiva, your body-mind complex, and then through this jiva, you experience the other objects, but all of that is happening within you, consciousness, existence. You understand? So it's all a question of defining this I, define who we are, what we are as consciousness. Everything is just happening within ourselves and not apart from ourselves. And consciousness, awareness is the only reality, the only existence, and it's that which exists all the time. Even when there is nothing to be experienced, consciousness is existing. And then it goes about seeing the similarity between knowledge and existence, knowledge and consciousness, because knowledge gives an idea that is something that we know. And there are many things that we do not know. There are things that we do not experience because it's not in our field of experience. It's not in our environment. But yet everything that appears is known by conscious awareness. But conscious awareness is not the mind of the individual jiva. Conscious awareness is this principle, this knowingness principle that operates the minds of all jivas. There is nothing that happens apart of this conscious awareness. Everything is not is also not only existing in awareness, but it's all known in awareness. You understand? So we're going to see a little bit more on this one in the next verse. So there can be no such a thing as limited existence. There is only non-dual existence. That which is for a time, then it's not, has no existence. The implications of this truth radically oppose our usual way of experiencing and thinking about the world. It compels us to reject our perception of time-bound existence as real. All existence then must be limitless. So when we say like, oh, the existence of this house is is bound by time. And then Vedanta comes, in truth, the existence of everything which is just a projection upon your conscious existence, the existence of everything is you, limitlessness. Understand? It just appears as a name in the form, but in truth, when we project something on the screen of a movie hall, it appears that those pictures, that move and so on, those pictures, they exist apart from the screen. But when we really look into it, you understand? There is only the screen. There is nothing more except this magic show, this trick, this projection. So all existence, everything that's projected upon this consciousness is but consciousness, and by nature is limitless, because the substratum of all these superimpositions is consciousness and consciousness alone. The same way the substratum of all pictures project on the screen of the cinema hall is only the screen. The real nature is the screen, and then there is a projection. So there is light, and then there is a film. So Maya has the power to project. Maya has the power to assemble, the energies and the five elements, and then project all these names and forms, all these objects that we perceive as real. So the same way, everything in truth is just the screen of consciousness, and the screen of consciousness is limitless. For the only thing that could limit it would be what? Non-existence. So the existence is limitless, and it is consciousness, and there is no existence that could be limited by any one of these projections. We would have to have a projection that somehow would cancel, the consciousness in which those projections are captured. But what can be, we would have to have another limitless principle so that we can cover and cancel existence. So there is no such a thing as non-existence, and there is no such a thing as reality or a projection that is real, that could somehow close or cover or conceal the existence of consciousness. So when we perceive objects, in fact, we are experiencing ourselves, limitless consciousness. So that is the conclusion. Every time we're experiencing something, we're experiencing our own limitlessness. And this is really absolutely radical and counterintuitive. And that's why a lot of people think that we Vedantins, we are all crazy, Isn't it? We cannot talk this with people, common people.
That's a whole topic of conversation, Orlando, someday.
Yeah, you like that one. How to make Vedantine friends? That is something.
I tried to have that conversation yesterday, just to explain, just to offer a different perspective, not teach Vedanta, but just the whole idea of ignorance and knowledge. And boy, it got all kind of wrapped up and bundled and repackaged, because of course the person I'm talking to is seeing it from a whole different perspective of, ignorance is being stupid.
Yeah.
Right. And so this whole idea of revealing and revealing knowledge, and and knowledge then has to, all these different words, and it's just so hard to explain to somebody else.
Yeah, you need to take it easy and give them a homeopathic dose of Vedanta. Huh?
What those?
Homeopathic, small drops, homeopathy.
Okay. A soldier. Oh, yeah. Well, I maybe I did do that, and maybe the
Yeah,
conversation isn't over, because then we just like kind of moved on. So,
yeah.
and maybe we'll come back and visit it someday.
So
But,
Swami Dayananda used to say, or Shimai, I don't remember now, I get confused sometimes. So when we want to practice our Vedanta, we need to find a victim. So, and then he used to say, so in order to make sure that the person stays for 10, 15 minutes, give them a big cup of coffee and very hot, so that the person cannot drink and go, and then you can torture them for 15 minutes. If only the self exists, only the self can be known. Knowledge of objects is a succession of thoughts, but this serial thinking requires an interim stage in which one thought has ended and another is yet to begin, or else we would not be able to distinguish one thought from another. This space between two thoughts is the absence of thought from that standpoint of objective knowledge. But what is this this space between two thoughts? It can only be awareness in which thoughts appears, This is pure logic. We understand that this knowledge, all our knowledge experience, is nothing but a sequence of thoughts. The objects appear, and then there is a thought which is associated to every one of these objects. And then another object comes in. No object comes in because I close my eyes, or there is no sound, there is no smell, and then my causal body provides me with another subtle object, and then another thought. So we have all these thoughts. A thought comes, and then we know, okay, now I'm experiencing knowing this and that. But all of that is only possible against something, or only possible when there is a space. It's easy for us, when we begin meditating, it's easy for us to meditate. At the beginning, when I began meditating, my mind was so rajasic and so stressed out that I thought that I was my thoughts. And my thoughts were very, very torturing, because it was one after the other, one after the other, one after the other. So, and then we begin meditating, and then this thinking process begins slowing down. And then what happens next? We begin to experience silence. Silence is just that space between one thought and another thought. And then we become aware that there is something, behind the thoughts, so to speak, in which the thoughts just appear, as images on the screen, So, and then I know, and then, what is this entering? What is this space between thoughts? We call it silence. But in truth, that is the background which allows us to know what we know. You understand? Because we need to have this conscious screen, the screen of awareness, conscious awareness, in order that we can capture thought by thought by thought by thought. And to the extent that we don't identify with the thought, and then we can remain as this witnessing conscious principle, the light revealing and illumining all these thoughts, objects occurring within us. So that's the point. This entering this space, this silence can only be awareness. In this awareness, thoughts appears and disappear. And this awareness is ever present and unaffected by the thoughts. You see, this is very nice because this conscious awareness, which is our true nature, is not affected by the quality of the thoughts. I mean, a lot of people, they think that the key of life is to think positive thoughts. Right? And then I want to develop a positive thinking mind, and then I'm going to program my mind to think positively. I want to think positively. If we succeed, that's good. So I'm going to have a mind that thinks thoughts that cheers me up and so on, you know. And but that is not freedom. So because I need to maintain that program, I have to 24/7 maintain that program if I want to feel positive and to feel light and to feel cheerful. Huh? No, freedom is to recognize that conscious awareness principle, in which these thoughts appear and disappear, without ever affecting or impacting or changing this conscious awareness background. That's the only freedom there is. Huh? So you are free because that is your nature, not because you have established a condition in which you enjoy a certain sense of freedom and limitlessness. No, you are free and limitless because that is your nature. Why? Because you do not change to any one of those thoughts. Those thoughts do not affect us. The thoughts come and go. They do not affect this conscious awareness, despite their apparent diversity and seeming independence. So the thoughts, objects, they do not exist independently of awareness, consciousness. They belong to a totally different order of reality. This order of reality is an interesting denomination. Yeah? A different order of reality called mithya. But what kind of order of reality is mithya if it's not real? Yeah? So it's an order of an apparent reality. You understand? There is only one reality, and that reality is satya, which is the conscious subject, awareness, witnessing principle. Yeah? And then the mind and everything, every thought object that appears in the mind is just part of mithya. It does appear to exist, but it's not real. Therefore, it's not really an order of reality, but it's an apparent order of reality. You know, that's important to keep in mind. Okay. When we're told that the self is limitless existence, knowledge, and joy, we may think, how can I experience this self? For I am certainly not experiencing it now. So I'm not experiencing this happiness, this joy, this security, this limitlessness. So where is this self that I want to know, get introduced and experience so that I can experience its nature as security and joy? So this is a question that comes up very often, you know. So, okay, I understood this is my nature, but why I'm not experiencing my nature? Because a nature is that without which something is not what it is. So I am that. Why I am not experiencing my true nature? It's a good question. The nature is that we are experiencing our nature all the time, 24/7. But we are mistakenly identified with the instrument of experience called the body-mind complex. And the body-mind complex is a program. It's a biological program. and it's not limitless, and it's bound by time, and it knows what it knows, and it's very limited in its skills and its abilities, its knowledge, objective knowledge. So it's we are mistakenly identified with the equipment, and then we feel what? We feel that we are limited. Instead of understand, okay, the equipment is the fact, this limit. Huh? It wears out, it gets old. Huh? So, but I don't change. So it's just a question of the mind and its sense of identity that prevents us to appreciate our true nature as security and joy. You understand? So this seems to be not fair. And this is a genuine question, why I'm not really enjoying myself, no? Why I'm not at peace and at ease with things as they are. No? Because we have this fundamental, cosmic, universal, avidya, ignorance operating in our minds. We receive it with birth. Our previous birth brings us this ignorance in its seed, potential form, and then it manifests as we cross the age of 2, 3, 4 years. And we are totally identified with the equipment, believing to be the equipment. Again and again, I'm prevented to enjoy my nature as limitless consciousness. So we are experienced, but we are not. Ramji likes to say that you are just, your wrong knowledge, your wrong identity is preventing you to appreciate your freedom and your limitlessness. It's all a question of knowledge and ignorance. Good knowledge, bad knowledge. A knowledge that is faithful to what it is, or a knowledge that is somehow not faithful, not true to what it is. So Vedanta serves the purpose to convince us, not blindly, not like brainwashing us, but convincing our intellect, through logic, analysis, and so on, of our fundamental, primary, independent, and free nature as consciousness. And then the obstacle that was preventing us to appreciate what we are is removed. Right, Claudio? Make sense? The ego is the self dreaming. Look how interesting. The ego is the self tripping. Is the self having a nightmare. No? It's a bad dream. Vedanta is our wake-up call. When we dream, we manufacture all the people and objects which seem to exist independently of us. The dream state is a very important state to be understood, because we project, we create it, we experience it, and we take it to be real. But upon awakening, when we awake from the dream, immediately we have no problem to understand that it was my projection. I project this world, this dream world. You understand? And then when Vedanta invites us to make a parallel, to draw a line, a parallel to the dream state. So when we are awake, but we project reality on this projection of Maya, when we really believe in Maya, and we say Maya projects and Maya conditioned me to believe that everything is real and it exists independently from me. And of course, I believe that this me is the mind, the body-mind. So when we take this dream, which is the awakening state, to be real, and then we are conditioned to suffer this sense of limitation, which is inherent to the dreamer. The awakened dreamer and the sleeping dreamer. You understand? So the awakened dreamer is also, it's again and again feeding into this dream by what? By again and again reinforcing the notion that this is reality. Reality is duality, and the objects are real, and they exist apart from myself, and I need what I need, and I don't want what I do not want. Okay? So this reinforcement of this original ignorance, it's like dreaming, prolonging this nightmare, you understand? It's the ego, is the self dreaming. It's almost, I mean, it's as if the self would appear in this apparent order and then begin dreaming, having a bad dream. Vedanta is our wake-up call. When we dream, we manufacture all the people and objects, and they seem to exist independently of us. The self, through its mysterious power of Maya, manifests all that appears as the world, and that seems to exist independently of our consciousness. Consciousness, under the spell of Maya, identified as the Jiva, feeling to be the body-mind, bound by time, limited by all means, relating to the projection of Maya, believing that everything is real. This Jiva object is real, and all objects are real. This is the dream of Maya that we feed in again and again. In fact, we produce the vasana so that Maya Shwara can sustain this dreaming universe, this projection. We have to provide ignorance back. Shwara gives back to us the dream, and then we feed the Shwara with our belief in the dream, our actions, and then we keep reinforcing this samsara chakra, these vasanas that keep this wheel going round. The self, through its mysterious power of Maya, manifests all that appears as the world, and that seems to exist independently of us. Through the teachings of Vedanta, we realize the self. We realize the self is all that is, ever was and ever will be. Then the dream ends, and all the phantoms that tormented us dissolve. We are free. Very nice, huh?
Arlindo?
Yep.
In this paragraph, it talks about the self through its mysterious power of Maya. So it implies that the power of Maya comes from the self, from consciousness, and Maya then manifests that appears in the world as mithya. Is that
Maya that manifests what?
Manifests as mithya?
Yeah.
That's the question.
Manifests this superimposition, this apparent order of reality that we call mithya, or we call the world, we call samsara, depends on the context, depends on the angle.
Okay.
It is Maya. Maya is a power.
And but here
not really be understood by the human intellect.
The question I'm asking is so Maya is stated here as becoming as a power of the self or consciousness, and yet I was kind of understanding Satya as being a power. Where does Satya, is it somewhere here as well?
Satya is not a power. So Maya is a power. Okay, so we say that Maya is a power which somehow exists not apart from consciousness. So because anything in the universe, none has an independent existence. Everything owns its existence, apparent existence through consciousness. So everything exists not apart from consciousness. So the same thing is Maya. Maya is a power which exists not apart from consciousness. But consciousness is one without a second. You understand? So Maya is already part of this apparent order of reality. Maya is not real. You understand? So it is a power. It exists not apart from consciousness. It's not consciousness. It's not Satya. Maya is Mithya. You understand? So where is the position? Where are we going to fit this Maya? Maya is absolutely over the line of consciousness and Mithya. You know, Maya is Mithya. It is energy. Basically, it's energy. It's a power. Okay? So consciousness is beyond the gunas, is beyond any kind of energy, any kind of power. You understand? So in consciousness, Satya is the only reality. So Maya, this power, which belongs to Mithya, you know, brings about the three gunas. And with the three gunas, it brings about Ishvara, Jiva, and Jagata. Understand? It's all made out of this extremely subtle Prakriti called Maya, energy. You understand? Which belongs to Mithya.
So Satya kind of belongs or is consciousness in and of itself. It is this, and then the Maya becomes the projection.
Yeah.
And so the Satya is not a projection.
Satya does not project anything. Satya has no power to really create or project, because Satya is actionless. You understand? And everything owes its existence to consciousness, but consciousness is not the directly cause of the creation. You understand? What causes the creation is Maya. It's this power, you know, and this power, although it exists not apart from consciousness, in the same way that everything in the universe owns its existence to consciousness, but Maya, you know, is not a part, it's not a product, or it's not a property of consciousness, because consciousness is non-dual. There is no inclusion. There is nothing other than this conscious knowledge existence. Everything is just a projection within us. You understand? You want to say something? Huh? Yes, Sylvia is saying that Maya is an upadi. So now my wife decided to be my student today. So say hi to Sylvia. And to teach, and she will correct me here and there. Maya, yeah, she says she's not correct. It's an addiction, she said. Addiction or addiction.
Addition or an enhancement.
Enhancement. Okay. So we don't want to bring the concept again of Upaji, because otherwise we would not move into the verse 68, but it is. So it's just Upaji. It's, you know, it's a consciousness appears, you know, as if the close proximity of this very, very primordial energy. So makes this Maya energy, you know, colored, you know, or makes consciousness, colored, as if these attributes of this Prakriti called consciousness gets transferred to consciousness, and then we get confused and say, oh, okay, consciousness, you know, it has some power, consciousness has some energy, and so on. No, that belongs to Maya, but due to its close proximity, it appears that Maya's properties gets transferred to consciousness, but consciousness is that which is absolutely one without a second, you know? And it's the causeless cause of Maya and the universe. It does not cause anything, it does not do anything, and does not modify when Maya produces this superimposition upon ourselves. We do not modify. Shall we go on?
Yep.
The verse 68, the existence that the entire world enjoys is borrowed from consciousness. It's delusion to think anything stands apart from consciousness. So the same principle, the same logic, the same concepts, the same notion. It's delusional to think that anything exists apart from consciousness. There is nothing that really stands or exists apart from consciousness, because there is only one consciousness. So this conscious knowledge principle, is absolutely necessary, although it does not do anything. But without this subject conscious knowing principle, there is nothing to be known. Remove consciousness. What is going to happen? You understand? So remove the dreamer. So now today I'm going to go to sleep and I'm not going to dream. I'm going to be in deep sleep the entire night. Now I wish sometime because it's so nice. But when you remove the dreamer, what exists with the dreaming universe? So everything disappears. You see, the consciousness of the dreamer is what, borrows or lends existence to the dream world. Understand? The consciousness of Brahman is what borrows, or not borrows, lends, understand, existence to the world that we see, the physical, material world. It's all, everything that exists in this physical, material, tangible universe gets its existence borrowed from Brahman, Brahma's consciousness, the same way that the objects of our dream states get their existence from the dreamer, right? So it all comes from the subject. The subject has the power to build this object. So have you ever thought, how do I manage to create the objects in my dream world? Have you ever thought about that? How do I manage to do that? I don't think anybody really know how to do that, but yet we do it if we think that we are the doer, right? But somehow there is an intelligence which has the power and the knowledge to create the dream universe, the dream world. We're going to see the house, we're going to see the people and the cars and the trees. We see everything there. We project it, we create it. So this consciousness is equated to knowledge because it has the intelligence, the knowledge to produce this superimposition on itself. You understand? So everything that we see in this physical material world is not only illumined and experienced and known by consciousness, but it is projected by consciousness. But I say, oh, wait a moment, you just said that consciousness does not project anything. Yes, you understand? But by the power of Maya, you understand? This consciousness, knowledge principle, lends this existence in this consciousness, which becomes Satya, Sattva guna, Sattva energy, pure knowledge, intelligence. And this is going to allow Ishvara to come into the stage and start playing with the three gunas and creating this awakening, this physical material object, the same way that Ishvara does for us in the dreaming state. We think, oh, I have been there, I have created this dream and this, and no, Ishvara has done it all to us. Okay? So, but before we understand that we are not the doer, we're going to think that I produce my dream world, you know? But no, it's, you know, pure satya, pure sattva. Ishvara is pure sattva. It creates, you know, and pure sattva is the closest thing to consciousness, you know? Is this principle that has the potential, yeah, whenever in association with Maya, to project and sustain this intelligently designed universe, apparent universe, which which is its very fabric is knowledge. You understand? It's consciousness. So everything is made out of consciousness, is sustained by consciousness, is recycled by consciousness. Although consciousness does not do anything, consciousness has several agents. In Mithya, consciousness has several apparent agents that projects, sustains, and recycles everything. You understand? And we are the experiencing agents, no? The jiva. So am I talking alone here? Yeah. I lost the internet.
He went off and on.